Hi there. Have you ever thought about how you can help your significant other or your special person, whoever you're with, female, to feel close to you? Have you ever thought about what it takes to actually feel close? Like how to bring two people together to feel like they actually have a strong bond? Well, I've been talking a lot about this book, the Love and Respect book that I read many years ago. But it is still good information, I feel. And I think it's good when you can take in information just a little bit at a time, like in bite-sized information, so you can assimilate it, and maybe just have time to reflect in your relationships, if you're able to do any of this, or if you show any of this, maybe this could be helpful. Anyway, this chapter that I'm going to go over just a little bit of some key points that I think is on closeness. Okay, so remember I shared the two acronyms of how to show love and respect to each other in your either marriage or relationship, okay? Most men, they want love to be spelled out to them as respect. Love is shown to most men in respect, okay? And the acronym for men was chairs. He wants to chairs the relationship, chairs. And the acronym for females was not chairs. It's for her. Let me see. Hold on. Couple. That was the acronym. Couple. Okay. And the acronym couple, and it spells using the letters COUPLE. Okay, and there's a chapter on each one of these letters representing what it means. So C stands for closeness. Okay, so I just wanted to bring out a few points about this, because I just think a lot of times, I do know, like here on YouTube and other spots, people like to listen to kind of a brief synopsis of different books instead of reading the book. They like to kind of get that information in. And I admit I'm definitely guilty of listening to the different AI versions of different books just to have, the quick summary or whatever. But with this, of course, I'm not AI, but I can also offer my own opinion. and I am a female, so I can also share like how I feel, right? Okay, so I definitely agree, though, with the acronym closeness, or with the acronym couples, as far as how to spell love to your wife. If you want to make your wife or girlfriend or significant other feel more loved, okay, in a relationship, if that's your goal, if you desire to actually create that bond, and if you desire to create a strong union, okay, with whoever you're with, if that's your real, true desire, if you are a male out there, if you're a man out there, then I suggest you listen, because I don't really know a woman who disagrees with these topics that I'm going to go over. I'll eventually go over all of them, okay? And also, it's just good information. Most women, even if you're not in a relationship with them, but if you have a family dynamic or even children, they're going to want some form of this type of love. This acronym, how he breaks it down, okay? In any case, so the first one again is closeness, and it says she wants you to be close, right? I'm gonna read just kind of briefly some of the parts that I have highlighted, okay? Because I think that these points are particularly very good. Also, by the way, I'm a Christian, so you will hear me refer to some of these scriptures. This book is a Christian-based book as well. It's not religious-based. It's just based on scripture, so it's good information. Okay, it says, it is no coincidence that early on in the Bible, in describing the first marriage in human history, there is a living definition of the meaning of closeness. Okay, it says, therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. That's the King James Version. That's Genesis 2:24. Most people know that scripture, that a man will leave his father and his mother and will stick to his wife, right? A lot of people know that scripture. It says, when scripture speaks of cleaving, the idea in the Hebrew is to cling or hold or keep close. Two are joined together face to face, becoming one flesh. Did you know that in all of God's creation, only human beings are sexually intimate face to face? Which I thought was a very interesting point, because out of all the creatures on earth, it's only humans that actually interact face to face on that sexual, emotional way, right? You know, and when you think of animals, you can, you know, they're not face to face. I never really thought about that, but that's an interesting point, right? Cleaving, however, is more than just sexual. Cleaving also means spiritual and emotional closeness. This is a silent passage for husbands, full of insight. Okay, it says your wife will feel loved when you move towards her and let her know you want to be close with a look, a touch, or a smile. Okay, so I like that point as well. Cleaving to your mate or your significant other, your wife, whoever, doesn't just mean obviously sexual relations, right? It means spiritually and emotional closeness. Okay, face to face. And it says that your wife will feel loved, okay, and she'll know that you want to be close based on how you look at her, a touch or a smile, okay? It says in the book of Deuteronomy, we find still more about what it means to be close. When a man takes a new wife, he shall not go out with the army nor be charged with any duty. He shall be free at home 1 year and shall give happiness to his wife whom he has taken. This is Deuteronomy 24 verse 5. So if you're not familiar with that scripture, that was the orders that was given to the men who were in the army, okay, that were going out to, you know, to war and whatnot, that when they got married, they were charged to stay home for 1 full year to serve a couple purposes. One was to get his wife pregnant so that they could have babies, right? And also to be able to build a close bond with their wife, to be able to build and start the foundation of their family. Okay, so they were not allowed to go out to war for that first year. They weren't given no duties, no nothing. Their only job was to create a closeness bond with their wife, and you know, to start their family, right? Okay, let's see. Yeah, so it says, in Bible times, obviously God knew that this first year of marriage was very fundamental, okay? And it's important to set the tone of closeness for your relationship. It says, before the wear and tear of life takes the husband away for periods of time before they face other problems. So yeah, definitely in your first year of marriage is definitely a good time to create that closeness and that bond. And this is something that, of course, it helps to be honest. It helps if you have honesty in this relationship. If you are not developing this relationship or this marriage or this union was not formed on false pretenses, or it was not built on shaky ground, right? So clearly, if you were to get married on some other way, like if you were forced into it, or you took a bribe, or you got married the day after your parent died because you were forced into it because people took advantage of you feeling sad, or whatever, you were having to do a lot of things and you just basically ran through the courthouse in your shorts while you had a quick break, and your significant other or your new wife decided to go back home to New York and leave, and it really was not a real marriage or whatever. Obviously, all those types of things would not constitute a strong closeness, or would not be grounds for a firm foundation. Okay, so what we're really referring to here is when a man finds a good wife, right, that God has placed in his path, you know, as a real gift or crown of glory for him, to build him up, and the two are actually wanting to actually both be committed to each other in union, you know, as God is a threefold cord, right? That it does take, if you want to say work, it takes being on purpose, and it takes knowing, you know, having knowledge of the workings of each other, right? So if you are a man, right, you're going to want to have knowledge on the wife or the female, right? And if you're female, you're going to want to have knowledge on the man, and what makes him feel loved and respected, wanted, desired, all those things in a relationship, right? So this is basically what this is about. This type of information is not going to work if the relationship was formed on shaky ground or false pretenses or other type of agendas. Okay, this only works with real true intentions and real true genuine love. Okay, love and respect. Okay, now there's another point. It says let's see, the first few seconds set the tone. I highlighted the points that I thought were the most key to me. It says the first few moments of reconnecting will set the tone for the rest of the evening. In today's culture, economics often dictate that husband and wife both work. Your wife may arrive home after you do, but the basic dynamics of closeness will still apply. Remember that when she wants to connect, she wants face-to-face involvement. You both have had a long and possibly tough day. If all you do, or if all you want to do is flop on the couch, watch TV while she fixes you a nice dinner, you are missing it big time. This kind of uninvolved behavior will not make your wife feel loved. I concur. She will feel loved if you come into the kitchen with her and help her prepare dinner, even if it's nothing more than setting the table. Or you could possibly even start dinner before she gets home. And then he has in parentheses, what a concept. Okay, so definitely, I have experienced this before, you know, where it's like it takes both people to work, and maybe both partners are out working all day long, and, you know, whenever you both get home, you're both tired, right? But it's usually expected of her to cook dinner. So even though you both might be tired, you both might have worked hard, long days in respective fields, right? She's usually the one required to work, to keep working when she gets home, and to go into the kitchen and cook a meal. Now, if you're smart, right? If you're a smart woman like me, you find ways of being proactive about dinner and meal planning, and hopefully you don't have a picky husband who does not want you to cook in the crock pot or pre-make meals and put them in the freezer, and that the way they're easily, you know, microwavable, you know, but they're still home cooked meals. Or he doesn't put any kind of stipulations like that. Okay, as long as that's not happening, you can't actually, you know, get ahead of this mealtime situation, this dinner situation. Okay, but in any case, if you don't do that, okay, it still helps if the man wants to like start cooking dinner or start some of it, or even just act like he even cares, and, you know, something more than just get home and plop on the couch. Now, it is normal for people to want to, like, if you have worked a hard, long day, to maybe want to take, you know, 10, 15 minutes, whatever, break sitting on the couch. Okay? But when you're done with that little break, you're going to be hungry, right? So if you both get home and you both plop on the couch, then it's going to be a matter of, okay, what we're going to do for dinner, right? So it's helpful, you know, to not make either one mate feel like it's all on them to figure this out. It's different if you are a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home wife or a stay-at-home dad, whatever. Obviously, that's going to be very different. Obviously, if you're stay-at-home, that means you are taken care of enough that you don't need both incomes or whatever, and you can stay at home and think about dinner all day long. Okay, but most of the time we work, okay, and both of us usually work. So I know for us women, we're desiring to feel a sense of closeness with our mate at that point when he gets home, or when I get home, whatever, when both are home, right? And it's like we want to feel and know that the love is there. And a good way that he's talking about right here is to connect, if she decides to get up and cook dinner, or to connect with her in the kitchen, or just making sure you're taking some time to actually help with this right here. Because everybody needs to eat, okay? Everybody needs to eat, okay? If you're human, you need to eat, all right? So, and if you're in a relationship, mealtime can be an issue as to who's going to cook it and when it's ready and how picky you want to be. Again, all of that has to do with the head, whoever is your head, whoever you decide to marry, right? Because again, one man may decide to lead his family in one way when it comes to meals and dinners and all of that. He might not care at all if you cook at all. He might prefer eating out, and the other man might prefer home cooked meals, and he might actually prefer you to be at home cooking a fresh meal, not using no crock pot or microwaves or anything, and he wants you, half naked in heels, welcoming him home with a meal, and to serve him and all that. But for that to happen, she better be well taken care of financially enough so that she can do that, right? Because men who try to demand that from a woman who works full time, nah, brah, that's not gonna happen, okay? That's not gonna happen, okay? So you are literally dreaming a pie in the sky if you think that a woman who's gonna work all day long or whatever, a full-time job or any job really at all, and want to come home and still cook dinner and have it be fresh or whatever, and you're gonna put demands on her, that's not gonna work, okay? And I'm only sharing that because I've had that experience, okay? I have actually had this experience. I do love to cook. I actually do love to cook. I am a foodie. But when I'm tired, I'm definitely not, don't have the energy to want to get up and cook a fresh meal, okay? So I don't want to be taken advantage of that in that way, okay? For sure. Now, okay, so that's that part. I thought that was really good information there. And it says, yet another idea is to sit and talk with her as she gets the meal together. Absolutely. I agree with this 100%. Especially when I'm in the kitchen cooking, right? And especially if I like you. If you are a husband that I like, okay? If you have not got on my last nerve, okay? And, I've actually decided that I like you, that we're married because, okay? And I'm saying this because, I do know how marriages are. Marriages can sometimes be like, you might be married to somebody, but you don't like them. I've seen this. I'm not talking about that kind of marriage. I'm talking about the kind that you are like, this is my soulmate and I love you, right? Even if I am cooking and even if he's just sitting down, just sitting and talking, just showing and sharing an interest and spending this face-to-face time talking and telling her about your day, or she gets to talk about her day or whatever, just that is considered, to me, I actually consider that to be quality time. I definitely consider that to be quality time. Okay. It says, tell her about your day and be sure to ask her about hers. She may be busy with children or other duties, but she will be listening, I assure you. What she tends to look for is your desire to dwell with her for a short period to discover where her heart is. Absolutely. I love the way he puts that. A woman is always looking to see where her man's, or looking to see if he wants to dwell with her. Dwell. D-W-E-L-L. Spend time. Linger. Right? Because that means he likes her. It means he loves her. It means he cares about her. That's how we take it. For sure. We definitely take it like that. And if she senses you authentically want to connect, this can do more for her than a 1-hour discussion. For your wife, face-to-face time is heart-to-heart time. Absolutely. Absolutely. Face-to-face time, heart-to-heart time, this communication time, for me, actually makes me feel very spoiled. And I must even admit, like, that's how I have been got in the past. Like, how a guy or a man or somebody got me, was from this right here, this communication, either face-to-face time, could be on the phone, sometimes FaceTime or whatever. Like, I had a long-distance relationship before, but that's how I was got. It's because it was evident and clear that he wanted to spend time consistently. He was consistent, very consistent in checking in, talking with me, listening to me. This right here, it's all this right here. I consider it to be called quality time. And it does create a bond, and it makes two people feel very connected. It makes you feel to me, I know for sure, it makes you feel very loved, wanted, desired when your man stays in constant communication with you. And when I say constant, I don't mean 24/7. I just mean consistent type of thing. Like if he comes home from work and he's literally sitting down to spend his face-to-face, heart-to-heart time, it doesn't have to be very long. but it just shows a very deep desire. It shows love. It definitely makes you feel close. Okay? It says, some husbands might think spending all of this time in the kitchen is unmanly, but as we have seen in Deuteronomy 24:5, the Hebrew generals did not mock a warrior for being home. In fact, as a man of honor, he was ordered to spend his first year of marriage with his wife. Undoubtedly, a young bridegroom wanted to be out with his comrades fighting the enemy, but as a man of honor, he learned to do two things. In the field, he did what was respectable. In the family, he did what was loving. He wore his two hats interchangeably and wore them well. And this is a good point, because women are also usually having to wear multiple hats as well. You know, the work hat, the mom hat, the wife hat, you know, your wifely duties hat. You know, you want, you know, your, what do you say? You're freaking about and your woman in the streets or whatever. Okay, so you want her to wear two hats, right? But we need men to understand that you're going to wear two hats as well. You're going to wear your hat when you're out there with your boys, or when you're out there, a different hat when you're at work, right? And you might be in work mode, you know, commanding, and you might be a manager or a boss, or you might be a supervisor, or if you work in the military. I know plenty of men like this who are military type of men, and they try to bring that military attitude at home. Oh, that doesn't build no love, closeness, but no, I don't know a woman who enjoys that. I definitely don't. I don't like that type of an attitude. Military and, you know, kind of, no. Take that hat off and put your your loving husband hat on, or whatever, right? Because we need this to feel close. Okay? Now, he does talk about, a little bit more in here. He talks about, you know, basically how his 4-year-old taught him a lesson about wanting to have that face-to-face time, you know, because even as young children, young girls will constantly take their dad's face. I know I did this to both my dad, my grandpa. I remember doing them, like, listen to me, no, look at me when you're talking, or when I'm talking. Like, I would always do that. Right? Little girls do that naturally, because women naturally, we crave that face-to-face time. And there's another good example of that. If you ever look in like a lot of like Starbucks or coffee shops and whatnot, and you find those tables, you'll see women have no problem being face-to-face, but you'll literally think of either women in coffee shops together talking face-to-face, or couples will do that, right? But when you think of guys, what they want to do on their own time, they want to go like to the bar or somewhere and watch it, you know, like have a TV, and they're more shoulder to shoulder. They're not necessarily always facing each other unless they're at a meeting or whatever, right? But when they're just hanging out, guys usually like to hang out in front of the TV or in front of something or whatever, and they're more like, it's like they're doing something maybe together. And they consider that connecting. That's how men connect, more shoulder to shoulder. Whereas women are more face to face, right? It helps us to feel close. It helps us to feel loved and, you know, and cherished, you know, like this book talks about. And it starts for us women. It starts in our childhood. We're just naturally that way. That's just naturally how we are. Okay, so I think that's all I'm going to talk about for this portion right here. I'll bring out some more later on. I just want to kind of keep these videos a little shorter so you guys have time to assimilate some of this information. Okay, bye.